Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today, we examine 5 archive broadcasts from July 1, 2026, a day when humanity demonstrated its usual talent for unintended consequences. We'll cover an anti-drug campaign that may have encouraged drug use, an ethical storm over a digital resurrection, a trade decision that baffled economists, the end of an era for gamers, and the growing intersection of wealth and political power. The first story. Government AI anti-drug campaign accidentally glamorizes drug use. In June 2026, the UK government funded an AI-generated anti-drug public service announcement intended to deter young people from substance use. The video, produced by an unnamed marketing firm, used surreal visuals and scripted messaging to convey its warnings. However, viewers quickly noted that the AI's interpretation of dangerous and appealing seemed to overlap. The dreamlike, hyper-stylized imagery, meant to depict the horrors of addiction, was widely mocked online for making drug use look oddly artistic and alluring. Within 48 hours, the video was pulled from all platforms. The incident sparked debates about the limitations of AI in understanding human nuance and cultural context. This episode revealed much about 2026's blind faith in automation. Governments, eager to appear innovative, often outsourced messaging to algorithms without considering that machines lack a moral compass or a sense of irony. By 2050, this would become a case study in early AI missteps, taught alongside other classics like self-driving cars that couldn't recognize stop signs. The incident also foreshadowed the eventual creation of AI safety committees, which, as we now know, met quarterly to approve PowerPoint presentations. When the message is lost, the medium becomes the problem. The second story. Netflix uses AI to recreate Gene Wilder's voice without consent. Netflix's upcoming Wonka series, set for release in late 2026, faced significant backlash when it was revealed that the voice of the late Gene Wilder had been recreated using AI. Fans and ethicists criticized the decision, arguing that it disrespected Wilder's legacy and set a dangerous precedent for digital resurrection without consent. Netflix defended the choice, stating that it was a tribute to the actor's iconic portrayal of Willy Wonka. The controversy highlighted growing concerns about the ethical boundaries of AI in entertainment, particularly regarding the use of deceased celebrities' likenesses. This was 2026's version of an old question: just because we can, should we? The entertainment industry, never one to resist a cost-saving measure, embraced AI voice replication as a way to cut expenses on royalties. By 2050, of course, this practice would become so commonplace that the Screen Actors Guild would add a new clause to contracts: right to not be digitally resurrected without compensation. The Wilder incident also marked the beginning of the subscription wars, as studios began charging extra for authentic human performances. Some voices should not be brought back for a sequel. The third story. U.S. blocks long-term renewal of North American trade deal. In a move that surprised economists and trade partners alike, the U.S. government announced on July 1, 2026, that it would not renew the long-standing North American trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. Citing economic nationalism and the need to prioritize domestic industries, the administration framed the decision as a way to protect American jobs. However, the abruptness of the announcement left markets volatile and supply chains in disarray. Canada and Mexico responded with statements of disappointment, while business leaders warned of potential tariff wars and disrupted trade flows. This decision was a textbook example of humanity's favorite strategy: solving short-term political problems by creating long-term economic ones. The move reflected a growing trend of protectionism in the 2020s, as governments scrambled to address voter anxieties about globalization. By 2050, historians would look back at this moment as the beginning of the Great Subsidization, where nations poured resources into propping up industries that had long since been rendered obsolete by automation. Evidence later suggested an intern may have misfiled the renewal paperwork, but by then it was too late. Trade deals like milk have expiration dates. The fourth story. PlayStation announces end of physical game releases by 2028. On July 1, 2026, Sony announced that PlayStation would stop releasing games on physical discs by 2028, citing the dominance of digital downloads and the cost savings of eliminating physical production. The decision was met with protests from collectors, offline gamers, and those concerned about digital preservation. Environmentalists also raised questions about the e-waste implications of an all-digital future, as discarded consoles and servers piled up. Sony assured customers that digital purchases would be preserved, though skeptics noted the company's history of shutting down online stores for older systems. This was another sign of the times, the slow erosion of ownership in favor of access. By 2050, the concept of buying a game would seem quaint, as most entertainment would be streamed or licensed on a subscription basis. The end of physical media also marked the beginning of the end for offline culture. As for preservation, well, let's just say that the great spreadsheet crisis of 2042 would claim many a digital library, when a single misplaced decimal point wiped out decades of archived content. The future is digital, until the servers go dark. The fifth story. From Truman's pension to Trump's billions, the financial evolution of U.S. presidents. A historical analysis published by the New York Times on July 1, 2026, traced the financial evolution of U.S. presidents, from Harry Truman's modest pension to Donald Trump's billion-dollar fortune. The piece highlighted how the intersection of wealth and political power had grown increasingly pronounced, with modern presidents leveraging their office for personal financial gain. Truman, who left the White House with little more than his army pension, represented a stark contrast to Trump, whose business empire expanded significantly during and after his presidency. The article sparked debates about the ethical implications of presidents profiting from their time in office. This was less a story about individuals and more about the system that allowed it. By 2050, the line between political power and personal wealth would blur almost entirely, as corporate sponsorships and lobbying became the primary funding mechanisms for governance. The Truman to Trump trajectory also underscored a historical irony. The same country that once celebrated its leaders' humility now elected them based on their net worth. One wonders if Truman, were he alive, would have simply shaken his head and muttered something about the good old days. The White House, from public service to profit center. As we reflect on these stories from 2026, a clear pattern emerges. Humanity's tendency to prioritize short-term gains over long-term consequences. Whether through misguided AI, ethical shortcuts, economic nationalism, or the erosion of ownership, the past often repeats itself, just with better special effects. This has been the Future Archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.